There we go. We good? All right. So now, we're going to break about startups. And the startups, there's a cash prize that we're going to announce at the end of the day today. And the Startup Showcase is sponsored by Capital One and Accenture. Each founder gets 5 minutes to pitch with 3 minutes Q&A from the judges. So first up, I'd like to bring up Arlene with Vedits. And she's coming. Music. Yes. Yes, there we go, there we go.
Slide clicker. Slide clicker. Hi, I'm Arlene Garcia. I'm the co-founder and president of Vedits. I'm also the American Sign Language Teachers Association president and a former principal at a deaf school. Did you know that there are 70 million deaf and hard of hearing people here who have no access and are facing an education access crisis? Only 2% of us have access to education with our natural language. And this has led to a legacy of unequal access needs, and this needs to be fixed. Because our high school dropout rate, college and university dropout rate, as well as the and unemployment rate is tragically high compared to our hearing counterparts. We're going to fix this with Vedits. Vedits is the first company in the 8 billion global deaf ed market offering tutoring in K-12, college to life skills, online, anywhere, anytime, delivered in our native heritage sign language. So let's talk about what we're doing. We're creating a massive increase in the deaf tutoring access. Now, the old way of finding a tutor, you would have to schedule a tutor. They were restricted to their local region, and that led to shortages of qualified tutors. Now, with Vedits and our marketplace, people can find tutors on the web. And with WebRTC, we have live video chat platform, cross-device and cross-platform. 45% of our users are connecting to Vedits with their mobile device. And users in 67 countries in just 4 months. So we have so many tutors that can provide more than 50 education topics. And we're cutting costs for deaf tutoring by 60 to 90%. Remember, the old way, you'd have to find a tutor. Then you'd have to bring a sign language interpreter. With a 2-hour minimum, that can cost $200 per tutoring session. With Vedits, tutoring is online, in sign language, you only need to hire the tutor, and at a 15-minute minimum, we're reducing costs dramatically. And how are we improving effectiveness? With deaf design. We have 3 examples. We have our ASL STEM Academy, which is very similar to the Khan Academy, but all of our content is delivered with sign language. And this has been missing in our community. All the resources are provided in audio or text. Also, not just sending text messages, we can send video messaging. This is great, I can communicate with my hands. And we're going to add real-time motion capture feedback for those of you who want to learn sign language. So how are we making money? We're focused on B2B. We're working with state schools of the deaf, K-12, colleges, and deaf associations. We're providing them bulk tutoring or licensing our platform. And we are providing them data services. We think that will naturally lead to the B2C market. With our marketplace, tutors set their own rates, and we take a percentage. Thousands of users have had high repeat rates since May 2016 of our launch. We have a high satisfaction rate. Worldwide, we have the only the world's deaf university piloting with us. And we've had 11,000 hours of video content shown and viewed. And our revenue is in the 5 figures for October. We've already closed 372,000 and out of our 500,000 convertible note, and we're still raising. We believe that Vedits is going to impact millions of deaf and hard of hearing people around the world. And they're going to be productive individuals, just like you.
Question for the judges? Yes.
Absolutely. It seems like this is certainly an underserved marketplace. I thought your pitch was excellent. The question I have is, it seems like you're doing a whole lot at once and trying to satisfy a lot of clientele. Which is your best product, and where do you see that one scaling from?
Well, for motion capture, we're setting that to our platform. Often, we do not have access for deaf people and individuals. And we really want to focus on equal access to education so that we can definitely provide the best access for education to any underserved person around the world. And we definitely want to bring and work with people together to provide education in our natural language. So with English and text, it's not our first language, and we want to provide those services in sign language.
Just as a quick note, we've been actively following Vettis for quite some time now for an investment opportunity. Thank you so much for doing such valuable, meaningful work. This is incredibly, incredibly important. One thing that I wanted to ask you about, why is your team the right team to execute on this vision? And the second is, in two-sided marketplaces, how do you ensure that there's enough tutors to meet the demand of students and vice versa?
Sure, great question. We already have 3,500 users sign up, and we have hundreds of tutors available, and with zero marketing. And we have people also in other countries who have signed up who are providing services in their own country sign language. So you asked me about how we get together with our team. Well, I want to say that my team is basically the dream team, which has been brought to us by, we've been lucky and brought to us by just the spirit of the world. So we're talking about making a huge impact. And we're not just talking about one classroom, one school. We're talking about worldwide providing access for deaf people and hard of hearing people. You know, we have a CTO, we have our CEO who's focused on marketing, we have Danny Gong who's on interpreting, whose parents are deaf. And so our team, we can communicate, we can design the right platform for the deaf and hard of hearing market.
Thank you for presenting your idea. My question is about pipeline. So I noticed when you were presenting the data that the top of the funnel is like the tip of the spear, and actually the dropout at high school stage is very, very high. So are you intending to go earlier in that pipeline and really engage students in mainstream schools so that they have the opportunity to proceed to further education without dropping out?
Oh yeah, for sure. We already have about 20 B2B in the pipeline. One who has contacted us, they've all contacted us, and they want us to provide services in their institutions and their schools. We've been getting so many people signing up with us. So with B2B, we're definitely focused on that. And it's really great that they're contacting us to provide services for their K-12. So right now we have 20 different institutions, and we're making revenue.
I guess my next question is, what is your ability to deliver on that opportunity?
Well, it takes, on average, about 60 days to close a deal. And talking to them and video messaging with them, the key people there, they've asked me, they've invited me to go to their schools to make a presentation about Vettis and how it can help out with their institutions. So they've been contacting us, and everything's been going very well.
Cool. Awesome. That's it. Time for judges. Get you first time next one. All right, one more time for Vettis.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next up, I want to bring up Amanda with Ballooner.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Greenberg. I am the co-founder and CEO of Ballooner. We help Fortune 50 companies, leading hospitals, and top universities level the playing field by removing bias from group work and decision making. Before founding Ballooner, I was a public health researcher in Washington, D.C., and I was always working on large projects, large proposals, and I needed information, ideas, and feedback from large, diverse groups. So I tried everything available to me: collaboration tools, in-person meetings, surveys, email threads. And it played out largely as you would expect. I had low participation rates, conversations were dominated by louder, more senior voices, or things went off topic. And so something really shocking and surprising started to happen, which is I started getting one-off phone calls and emails from people, oftentimes more junior than me. And the information and ideas that they were sharing with me ended up being essential to us, winning a project or having a lot of success on a proposal. And so I asked them, why'd you come directly to me versus everything available? And their answers really shocked me. I was intimidated by louder, more senior voices. I was new to my role. I didn't know if my ideas or information was good enough. So I was a researcher, so I dug into the research. And what I found was that current tools and processes actually don't provide the psychological safety necessary to extract highest quality, highest quantity information, ideas, and feedback out of groups. And that's really what Ballooner does. So we built Ballooner based on science. We help groups overcome dynamics issues such as titles, identities, corporate culture, politics, and logistical challenges, distributed teams all over the world. So Ballooner unlocks a new level of group productivity by removing bias from group work and decision-making, innovation, collaboration. We make it possible to anonymously surface and prioritize information, feedback, and ideas. Here's our main flow. So someone starts a Ballooner. A Ballooner is a topic, prompt, question. They invite a group, small, large, inside, outside an organization. That invited group then goes together through an anonymous, bias-free process where they're anonymously launching, evolving, and pumping balloons, the responses. There's no groupthink, there's no evaluation apprehension, there's no first response bias. At the end, you have a prioritized list of top balloons, top insights, and invited participants are able to remove anonymity if they want and claim balloons, so no concerns around free writing. Okay, so we came out of private beta in June of this year. That also marked the launch of our native iOS app and the beta launch of our Slack bot, the Ballooner bot. And our first customers are leaders, so Disney ABC, Bosch, AbbVie, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We're at 70K ARR, but we continue to grow those accounts. So we have 500K in projected ARR from existing accounts. We have large inbound pipeline of over 300 companies and 600K plus in qualified leads, all inbound. At launch, I should mention too that we were hunted on Product Hunt and we're on the front page the entire day. So what happens when you level the playing field, when you remove that bias? Our customers see 35 to 99% participation, so they have buy-in. 80% adoption on Teams, so people are included. And over 1,000% increase in content submission. Not only are they getting more information, they're getting information they can't get any other way. And while we have high engagement and outstanding adoption, I think customer testimonials and outcomes really speak to the value. Customers describe Ballooner as putting on glasses for the first time, as resetting and leveling their organizations. So we are a two-person Dartmouth Carnegie Mellon founding team. Before founding Ballooner, I was a public health researcher, so I translated science and research into national behavior change campaigns for EPA, DOE, et cetera. Noah, my co-founder and CTO in the audience, he's a full-stack developer and designer. He's developed web presences and apps for national political campaigns, nonprofits, and a Tibetan language learning app for the Dalai Lama. And our first two hires were Carnegie Mellon classmates of Noah. So we're Ballooner. We remove bias from group work and decision making. If you're interested in leveling the playing field, please reach out. Thank you.
Great. Start off with Trevor.
All right, cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about the technology and how the popping of balloons removes bias?
Yeah, so it's a stage-timed process. So someone posts a Ballooner. A Ballooner could be like, how can we improve our collaborative spaces? Or what worked or what didn't work about a project? They invite that group. First, people are launching balloons, which are the responses by themselves. So if you think about a meeting or an in-person meeting, a few people typically contribute 70% of the content. Or first response bias, I say blue, people are more likely to say sky or ocean. Then the next stage, all those balloons that were launched solo and solo ideation are combined together. That same group comes back together. They anonymously collaborate. They build on, they improve each other's content. But it's anonymous, so you can have people who are at the head of an organization building on improving content, someone who might be more junior. Third stage is pumping. When you're pumping up balloons, you don't see a total pump count. So there's no groupthink or bandwagon effect. People able to say, like, this has a ton of pumps, it must be brilliant, I should pump it up as well. People are really seeing it for what it is. It's anonymous too. So you're not influenced by anything that might come along with whoever created that balloon. Is that helpful?
Cool. Judges?
My question is, what is your competitive advantage in a relatively, I guess, crowded marketplace for feedback and HR management?
Yeah.
And how do you make sure that you're building relationships and building a strong sense of buy-in and a strong user experience?
Yeah, so I should mention first that none of our current customers are in HR, and no one in our pipeline's in HR. So we definitely are reaching out to people who are more, buyers who are more focused on innovation or project management, product management, and really incorporating it into the framework of their work. How do we ensure everyone's voices are heard at like the core level of our work and not something separate or like an additional add-on? Ballooner is also very flexible, so we cover a ton of different use cases within companies and organizations, and they use us in very diverse ways. It's really at the intersection of like surveying, collaboration, and diversity and inclusion. We're really creating kind of a new category, a new market around group knowledge optimization or group knowledge enablement. What our customers really gravitate toward, I think, is that we really built Ballooner start to finish based on science and research for how you actually extract highest quality, and a lot of times it's counterintuitive to what people think or how current tools and processes have been built or developed.
Cool. Time for one more quick question. Are we good?
How do you address your pricing, and how do you address your pricing, and what does that look like? And do you worry about churn as, in theory, you're improving an organization so that they do not have biases going forward? Do you see a potential for your technology not to be used after a certain number, a certain amount of time with an enterprise?
I missed the last part. I'm sorry.
What's the? How long is the? Do you see the engagement by the company, and how does it actually scale within a company?
Yeah, so we do annual contracts with companies. We have like a 30-day period of opt-out. We've lost no companies. And we've seen organic growth and scale. So for example, Bosch, one of our customers in June, started with 230 users. They're now up to over 1,000, and they're exploring like a multi-year company-wide deployment. We made Ballooner to be very fun and engaging in our process and in our product. And so we really see also, we drive that engagement and that participation because they have such buy-in. So when you look at like a company-wide survey where they might have like 15% participation, with Ballooner they're going to get 35 to 99%. And so they're able to expand quickly and see the value.
Cool. Thank you. That's good. All right, let's give it up for Ballooner. Next up, we have Andrew Hill of Lifted.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew. I'm the CEO of Lifted, and we're bringing special education to the 21st century. About 2 years ago, my sister introduced me to Xavier. At the time, he was 4 years old with autism, and he had never talked a day in his life. He's pictured here with his special ed teacher, Heather, and she's teaching him how to mimic rubbing his tummy, but she's tracking his performance all via paper and pencil. Now, Heather is one of over 1 million special ed professionals that'll spend nearly 30 hours a week analyzing and reporting their students' progress against personalized learning goals that are legally mandated for students with disabilities. What it means is the time she's spending on paperwork is less on instruction. It leads to worse outcomes for students, And it's one of the primary drivers why educators like Heather leave the field twice as fast as their general ed counterparts. What's even more troublesome is that if parents are unhappy with a school's services or their students' progress, they take legal action. In fact, over 2,000 times a year. Oakland School District spent about $3 million in 3 years on special ed settlements. This is why we developed Lifted. It's a tablet academic and behavior tracking app for special ed teachers, paraprofessionals, therapists, and behavior specialists in schools, homes, and community settings. It enables expert teaching, which leads to better learning outcomes, and ultimately more transparency for parents, school leaders, and case managers. I think about it like an electronic health record or medical record to a patient, Lifted is to a student with disabilities. We're absolutely the team to solve the problem. My co-founder and also my sister, Dr. Joanne Powell, has her PhD in special education and behavior analysis and over 10 years experience in the classroom. Our VP of engineering, Lai, started the first computer science degree in the University of the Gambia in West Africa. Over 20 years experience, he's nothing short of a wizard. And I was previously a technology consultant and UX designer at Deloitte, and I have my MBA from Berkeley Haas. This is how it works. On an iPad, an educator can track a student's academic progress on an individualized learning program. They can track behaviors throughout the course of the day from anywhere, for example, the duration of a temper tantrum or a scratching. And most importantly, they get insight into how well or poorly that student is doing real time. And they use that information to make changes to how they're delivering instruction and improve learning outcomes. It removes the guesswork out of progress reporting. On the go, you can stay ahead of what's happening with your student and track that progress against the individualized learning goals. We're serving the school market, pre-K through 12th grade. It's about 6.8 million students with disabilities. It's about 13% of that total grade school market. And we use a SaaS model. We charge $20 per student per month in our current pilots with school districts. And there's about $10 billion that gets spent in education every year. So when people say there's no money in ed and it's tough to get, it's there. It's just a matter of how you go about doing it. I love to say this is the blue ocean, and we have our competitors. I think our biggest competitors, honestly, are paper and pencil and spreadsheets. However, there are data collection platforms that exist. We've identified an interesting corner of this market where we can offer a curriculum-agnostic solution that meets the needs of a variety of special ed professionals. So whether you're the teaching assistant who loves worksheets, you can enter that data in retroactively, or you're the behavior analyst or the therapist who's using discrete trials, much more technical data collection, you can do that as well. And we don't spin our wheels on developing curriculum across a wide variety of disabilities and grade levels. With a small team, and just over a year, we've developed a pretty awesome iPad app. We're in 2 school districts. One is California's first charter school down in the South Bay, and a public school out in New Jersey, as well as 2 health home agencies. Our goal is to get into 25 school districts for next school year, and then we strap on the seatbelt, and it's a rocket ship from there. We're currently raising pre-seed capital to target those 25 school districts for next school year, bring us to an annual run of close to $500,000. And we use that money to further develop the application, our marketing efforts, and develop our business. I'll leave you with this lasting picture of Xavier. Without a solution like Lifted, we put educators at risk of not having the tools to teach effectively, and students like Xavier at risk of graduating from high school at 21 and not being functionally independent. Thank you.
Judges?
Hey, cool idea. So as you build this, how are you thinking about the sort of challenges between charter schools, public schools, and private schools? Are you finding that they're all equally interested, or are you focusing on one?
So our initial hypothesis was that charter schools tend to have higher functioning students, so the use case wasn't as needed as in a public school setting where they're far more underserved. Because you're self-selecting into a charter, right? So your student, you expect, would go in there and be able to function better in an inclusive setting. What we learned very quickly is that because of the lottery system in charter schools, you often have no idea what you're going to get. And you're typically understaffed, and if you have a student that comes in who has autism at a really high severity, you can't necessarily support them well. So the use case is actually relatively the same in a public, charter, and private setting. And to date, I mean, our first 2 customers on a year-long contract are from both. So
So great pitch, thank you.
Thank you.
who are you targeting? You know, what is your sales and marketing philosophy? Like, how are you getting the demand, and how are you generating interest in what you're doing?
Yeah, so we go in sort of a two-pronged approach. I think in education, you've got to build advocacy with educators. You can't, force it down like an enterprise manner. So we target the special ed professional. So a special ed teacher who has a contained setting. You could also be a general ed teacher with students with disabilities in your classroom. Teaching assistants who are pushing in to classrooms, and then the specialists. So resource specialists, behaviorists, speech and occupational therapists are either doing push in or pull out. And we build advocacy that way. The way we're developing our pipeline, my sister and one of our advisors, they actually provide behavior analytic consulting services in northern New Jersey. And that county has about 35 districts. We're in the largest district there. So it's a ground game. It's really about grassroots movement and trying to get sticky. And then I mentioned the charter school. We're here in California. They're the first one. Charters all belong to a CELPA. It's like a governing consortium of schools in California. It's a legal requirement. They service over 10,000 students in a little over 100 schools. So again, grassroots movement. Beyond that, there's traditional marketing. We're actually in New Jersey right now at Autism New Jersey Conference, and we'll be in the one in Puerto Rico in January to present research. So a number of channels, but today it's primarily the grassroots.
Cool. Last question? Quick question?
I just have a comment. You're clearly well educated and versed on the sales process. I would actually bring that out more in your presentation, because that's usually where a lot of these products stumble, and you have a good understanding of it. Bring it out more in the pitch.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Awesome. Some great pitches, right? Yeah, keep the energy going. Yeah. We're making it. All right, the next startup, Junko.
Data shows that over the last 15 years, gender and racial bias in the workplace have not improved. When it comes to pay gaps and diversity, women and people of color continue to live with unequal compensation and underrepresentation. What's even worse, US corporations spend $8 billion a year on diversity training and consulting, and lose $64 billion a year on replacing employees leaving their jobs due to failed diversity management. I'm Elite, CEO and co-founder of Junko, and we've created an AI-based diversity coach that can successfully address gender and racial bias as it occurs. Junko identifies unconscious bias as it happens in the workplace using data that is already flowing through your system. For example, we integrate with popular SaaS platforms like Jira and Salesforce.com and engage with a relevant executive, manager, or employee with a recommendation when Junko detects potential bias coming from these platforms. This allows the recipient of the recommendation to take real-time corrective actions.
So we're going to show a little example. In this case, the manager of the R&D department is a little bit excluding Megan, a female developer in the team, from getting the core or the critical task inside of the Jira. So Junko investigate deeper into the data and also from the data from the HR, comparing time in the company, years of experience, job title, how was the quality of her code from GitHub or comments on Jira. And she finds out that there's no real professional reason why she's not getting the more of the critical task. So it's engaged with the manager, telling him about, let's give her some more responsibility, let's try and see how she responds. And once he clicks on this task, he goes back into Jira to a specific task, and he can reassign that and solve the micro event of unconscious bias before it's evolved into discrimination or a bad feeling in the female developer of being excluded. We're not doing only top bottom, we're also doing bottom up. We know that in a lot of cases, especially women, tend not to take credit for the work, while men eagerly do that. So once we'll see that Megan is being a critical part of a project, we'll engage with her saying, great job, you should let everyone in the company know what you've done, and we'll attach an email template so she can copy paste and send it to everyone and actually start to show her value to the company. Our business model is pretty easy. Recurring subscription of starting at $36 per employee per year.
3 months ago, our goal was to secure 5 pilots and start analyzing real company data. Today, I'm pleased to share that over the last 90 days, we secured 7 pilots with enterprise customers and analyzed over 100,000 cases. So why are we the right team to solve the problem? I spent 13 years as a woman in technology and unfortunately been a victim of unconscious and conscious bias. I started this company because I'm passionate about changing the way people work and interact with others. My 2 co-founders are also passionate about the issue. In addition to having years of experience in their respective areas, they too want to change the world for their daughters.
So we're Junko, proud to say that we're a first-of-a-kind solution that aims to improve the lives of women and people of color for generations to come. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Judges, questions?
This is really fantastic work. I have 2 questions. Do all of the individual employees have to create profiles of skills, and are the AI recommendations mapped back to those individual skills? And then the second is, how do you actually measure behavior change inside enterprises? What does success look like for you?
So regarding the creating a profile in our platform, basically we connect to Salesforce or Jira, and this is like the profile you have is your identity in the company. So Elad is an employee in the company, for example. We pull out the data from Workday, for example, like all the HR data, and then from Salesforce, all the success rate or unsuccess rate on the previous like 6 to 12 months. So there is no need to create a new profile for each employee coming to the company. We just pull it out. And regarding the second question, basically we analyze data backwards once we come into the company. So we create kind of like a benchmark on how each employee or manager behaved before. So if you're a manager and you tend to give only critical tasks after 2 months, we're not going to notify you on an employee that comes for the first 2 months. So we kind of like learn the behavior which is different for every manager in every company. And based on that, we kind of like starting to give notification if we see a behavior that is similar or can be a potential bias.
Well, congrats. This is really important work, and I'm pleased to see you doing it. Thank you. 2 things. 1, I love your T-shirt. Can I have one? 2, what do you need? How can we help you? What would you like to get from this presentation today?
So first, we're next week we'll be graduating from Techstars in Atlanta, and we're trying to raise awareness to our solution. A lot of the solutions right now are sort of, because it's sort of an emerging market, a lot of companies take offline solutions and transfer to the online. We actually trying to bring something that is more tech, actually a diversity tech company, so we need to make people a little bit more aware. And we met a lot of companies here in the career fair trying to find those forward-thinking companies. Those are customers. And so this is why we came here. This is why we came to meet and let everyone know about us and hand out T-shirts. So
It's cool. It's cool. Awesome. Well, great.
awesome.
What time? Thank you. We'll work with our last company, Emily with Legworks. Music. There we go. I'm getting on cue.
Hi, everybody. My name's Emily. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Legworks. This is Brandon, co-founder and director of partnerships. Thanks for having us today. So the world we live in is this incredibly unequal place, and we all know this. But take a second with me and think about something that nearly everybody in this room takes completely for granted. And that's the ability to get up in the morning and to walk around independently, confidently. In the developing world, there are anywhere from 10 to 30 million amputees. And the World Health Organization estimates that 10% have access to a prosthetic device. So if you're born in South India and you grow up there, you lose a limb, you have a 90% shot of spending the rest of your life on crutches. Now, this is what most people think when they think prosthetic device in the United States. Super cool looking, new age, techie. But this stuff, it's not covered by insurance. It costs $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. So the average amputee in the United States is not getting access to this. So there's this huge gulf that exists where average amputees in the US, India, Tanzania, they're not getting access to a high quality device. And this is where Legworks comes in. We want to revolutionize access to high quality prosthetics around the world. We don't say, you live in a poor country, we're going to give you a poor device. We don't sell one product in the US and one product in South Africa. We believe everybody deserves access to a high quality device. How do we do this? Well, we design innovative products that provide a very high level of function that can be manufactured at an affordable price point. We then use tiered pricing. So we price our products according to the country and the channel. So in a country like the US, there's good health insurance to cover prosthetics. And so we'll sell it at a higher price point, make sure it's covered by insurance. In a country like Cambodia, very little infrastructure, no health insurance, we'll make sure we price it within the budget of a humanitarian care provider. And overall, the blended margin allows us to provide a return to impact investors, and we can make margin where it can appropriately be made so we can increase access and distribution around the world. I'm going to hand over to Brandon. He's going to tell you a little bit about the first product we brought to market.
So our first product is the all-terrain knee. And to speak about it from my experience, when I, at the age of 18, became an amputee, I got a prosthesis with a $25,000 knee joint, had a computer in it, and it was great for helping me return to being a productive member of society. The thing is, that broke 3 times in the first year for me. And also, about 90% of the global population of above-the-knee amputees, they have knees where the mechanisms were designed before World War II. So nobody's really addressing this issue for most of the amputees out there. So what we did, our CTO invented the all-terrain knee. It's purely mechanical, no hydraulics, no electronics, but it's incredibly functional to where I could go from that $25,000 knee to this knee and not have to make any sacrifices. So how it works, we have our patented locking mechanism, lock spawn extension, completely stable, can completely trust it. Put weight on my toe, natural walking pattern unlocks it. It's smooth. It allows for multiple walking speeds. I can walk down slopes easily. And so essentially what we've been able to do is we've been able to, in a device that we can make accessible globally, allow users to really have access to rehabilitation for the first time for above-the-knee amputees. So what we've done, we started shipping in January, and we're in 23 countries. We've helped fit 400 patients on our prosthesis, and we've booked revenues of $120,000. So our team to do this includes our inventor, who's spent 12 years developing and clinically researching this, Emily, our CEO, international development, management consulting, myself as a user and industry expert, and our other co-founder, David, who's a serial social entrepreneur, bringing affordable medical devices to market globally. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Got it. So, man, it looks cool. It looks complex. What are the margins on that?
So again, with the global model, it depends on which country we're selling in, but we're aiming for a 66% gross margin across the blended model.
Got it. And you've been around for how long?
It's a good question. So the technology, the locking mechanism in the knee was researched and clinically tested in 10 countries over the last 10 years. And there's been a lot of peer-reviewed journals and articles showing that amputees can walk faster, they expend less energy, they fall down less on this technology. And then essentially the funder who is giving the CTO money to do all these clinical trials is like, this should not be stuck in a research lab. You have to bring it to market. And that's how Legworks and our team formed 2 years ago in 2014. And we spent about a year getting everything to market, FDA, CE mark, regulatory, manufacturing, all of that. And we started selling in January of this year. So it's been 10 months on the market.
Did you notice any, sorry, I'll give it up in a second. Did you notice any spikes in sales during the Special Olympics?
Any spikes in sales?
So It's the Paralympics for those who are physically disabled. Special Olympics is the Maria Shriver run organization. Paralympics, we did not have any sales spikes to it. We're a B2B, and so we work with our partners, whether they're prosthetic clinics in the US or nonprofits in developing countries, international distributors. So, you know, it's a very constant need. There's 2.5 million amputees globally. 90% don't have access, and this is for lower limb, above the knee amputees specifically. So it's just a global unmet need currently.
Yeah, just a quick one, and congrats. This is fantastic. Glad you're doing it. Where are you thinking about targeting the large organizations, the aid organizations that are going into countries, and who can help you take this to scale? Because it seems like rather than trying to sell B2C, you could go, you know, B2C to B2B2C, right?
Are you asking specifically about the developing world? Yeah. So I think, yes, we will work with the larger organizations in the developing world, and we already are. There's a great organization they're in Cambodia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Indo. Did I already say Indo? And they, you know, they train prosthetists, and they also fit a lot of amputees, and they're very well known. And we do work with a lot of organizations like that. But the key is they're only reaching 10% right now, right? So part one for us is definitely to saturate all of the distribution channels that are reaching amputees. But beyond that, we're being far more ambitious. And there's a sort of phase 2 of Legworks. Once we reach financial sustainability, which we think we can do, because we can sell it in the US, we sell it in the UK, we sell it in Australia, where we can make higher margins. So once we hit financial sustainability, we can then start tapping into the 90%. And we truly believe it shouldn't be about giving stuff away. We have to build a market. We have to build demand. And a lot of that is around the perception that if you're in a poor country, you just get poor products. And we don't believe that. So for us, with a high quality product, we believe we can start to build a market and build that demand and tap into the 90% that right now is not getting any access.
And one last thing, our partners are currently working to put our product on their government schemes. So that's something that takes time, but that's happening in the UK, in Australia, in Germany, as well as in some of the developing countries. So it's just a process to be able to get in the bid procurements that happen for that.
Cool, cool. You good? We good? Great. One more time for Legworks. Again, I would like to thank all of our judges for participating, all of you for enjoying and watching the startup pitches. The winner from yesterday's startup pitches and today's startup pitches will be announced after the closing keynote today here on the main stage. And there's cash prizes for first, second, and third place. And so we're really excited about announcing the winner later today. And yes, one more time for our judges, please. Yeah.